Okay, so in the middle of last month, in the space of just 1 week, there were 3 significant elections for the South Pacific region. The national government was returned convincingly in New Zealand. The Scots voted convincingly no to independence, which has possible implications for New Caledonia, Bougainville and perhaps even West Papua further down the track. But the poll I want to talk about today occurred in Fiji, where Frank Bainimarama won very convincingly, a thumping victory in fact, the first elections we've had since his coup in 2006. So after 8 years of military government, his party received 60% of the vote, which enables him to take 32 of the 50 seats in the Fiji parliament. Why did this happen? Well, essentially the opposition parties campaigned on an old platform of race-based politics. And that's natural in some ways, but less and less meaningful to the Fijian population, with the Indo-Fijian percentage of the population now only about 1/3. Any scare campaign that ethnic Fijians are a minority in their own land or some sort of endangered species is less and less meaningful. In comparison, the government campaigned with things like free education policies. They've been very active in road building and were able to point to an improving economy. Now, in a country where about 1/3 of people are below the poverty line, that was very meaningful. And the results reflect a successful campaign. So what does this mean for Australia? I want to look at 3 things briefly here. In terms of security ties, the Foreign Minister's indicated we'll re-engage with defence now that the Fiji government has had an election judged free and fair by international observers, and that's certainly welcome from an ASPI perspective. We've previously argued that those ties, security ties, should be broader than just defence and cooperate increasingly in areas such as policing and maritime security. But I don't think we should expect that those ties will re-establish too quickly, even though we were able to help Fiji with the peacekeepers briefly held in the Middle East last month. That's because there's a degree of mutual distrust and irritation that's going to take a while to fade in that kind of area. For the same reason, I'm sceptical about suggestions we should be offering help and advice with democratic institutions. I simply don't think our help will be welcome in this area for a while. Suva knows it's got some problems with remaining press self-censorship and security forces impunity, but it's important that we leave our megaphone in the box until they request our help. As my colleagues Anthony Bergen and Richard Herve pointed out, the most natural area to rebuild trust in the relationships probably in the area of economic diplomacy. On one hand, Suva faces a level of debt stress, but on the other, there are companies lining up to do business now that the election's out of the way, and it could be the start of an economic renaissance. Australia should be in there, and we should particularly be in there with access to the Australian labour market, which is in the interest of both countries.